Hey, how's it going guys? Zuko here, and welcome to October's Pre-Order Roundup. As always, we're going to be talking about the newest anime figures that you may or may not want to add to your collection that just went up for order. But this video is very late, and I apologize for that. Things just got very busy at the end of the year, and these videos continue to be very long, so it's just kind of hard to find the time to make them, but hopefully you still enjoy this video if you decide to, keep watching and whatnot. And yeah, that's all I really had to say. No more rambling, let's just finally start talking about the figures. Here's another one of those girls frontline battle damage figures, though this time she actually looks damaged. There's like cuts and scrapes all over the poor girl. Though it doesn't look like she seems to mind. In fact, maybe she's enjoying it, I'm not really sure. Why is she making this face? What situation are we in where she's so happily licking her lips like this? I don't really understand it, but I actually do like this one quite a bit. There's a bit more like commitment to the gimmick, which is appreciated. The damaged clothing looks a little bit more natural here, even considering that the fishnet is just painted on. Like, I like the execution of what parts of her outfit actually took damage on this figure, and her face is really cute as well. The green eyes are lovely, and I think it's making me like the camo colors more than I normally would, since they're working in tandem. Also, you're still getting the fan service these figures promise, so like, don't worry about that. This figure is still alluring in its own way, right? Like this image right here, perfect example. Awesome figure. Okay, so before we talk about Miyako, I gotta own up. When I talked about this figure originally like a month or two back, I said the base looked amazing, and it still does. But I called this piece of food right here cheese, and there's no way this is actually cheese. That was a very dumb thing for me to say. So I am changing my official assumption of this to be melon, as that's the only thing that actually makes sense to me. Either way, this still remains a precious figure that I just can't get enough of. Yes, the delicious looking base is the most eye-catching thing on here, and the pudding has not lost its touch since last time. But Miyako is so darn cute, and her giant-ass spoon is very funny and charming. Look at how she's even grabbing the handle with her oversized sleeves. That is cute as hell. Both faceplates are perfect, again, very cute, though I'm not even sure which one I like more. Like, this one feels like it fits the figure better, but the pouting face is way more unique. But also the paintwork looks top-notch, and the color palette is amazing on both the outfit and the hair. This color combination of light blues and oranges is like top tier if you ask me, and the little intricacies on her design really pop and shine through. Apparently she's sold out already though, so that's a bit of a bummer. Probably will show up eventually though, it's just a matter of patience. So Albedo's getting a Chinese dress figure, which I think hasn't happened yet, somehow, but I'm happy that this isn't just a Chinese dress, as she's perched up on a broken pillar with a bunch of swirling, splashing water surrounding it while wielding a huge glaive. It's a very dynamic and interesting composition, and I think they did a great job on her wings too. Having them like spread out and downward has a really cool look, and keeps the figure like contained in its own little world in a sense. The Chinese dress is fairly skimpy, there's not even that much dress technically, but I do like that sheer material up at her chest. Had to give her a boob window there though, because why not? I do have an issue with this figure though. I don't really feel like it looks like Albedo, like at all, which is surprising because I know a lot of people like this one quite a bit. It's certainly a cool looking figure overall, but as far as Albedo goes, I've seen much better attempts at her face. Also, I really would have preferred them to chill slightly on the transparent hair, maybe a little towards the tips instead of like almost the entire thing. The sculpt of it ends up looking like tubes of plastic rather than like pretty strands of hair, so yeah, not really the biggest fan of that either. This one's a bit strange to me, but like, how do you guys feel about it? Maybe someone should tell Spiritel what a swimsuit is, but like, what's the issue with just calling this a lingerie figure anyway? Like, it's nice looking lingerie, so I don't really see the problem with branding it as such. This figure has a really boring base since it's just a black disc, and her lingerie ends up kind of blending in a bit as a result. But the backdrop on this figure is quite something. As far as like visual flair goes, this is way better than Prisma Wing's recent offerings, at a sizably cheaper price too. I mean, it's still super expensive, but the arrangement of the gears and the flowers is just like a nice treat for the eyes. The design of the lingerie is fairly cute too. There's like some hidden details, or not really hidden, but just like harder to see features on it, like the tiny sculpt work on the lace and the rose pattern on the backside. I think this figure is overall solid, but like nothing mind-blowing when it comes to Kurumi herself. the face is just like slightly off from really grabbing my attention, but there's still a decent amount to appreciate if you can stomach the price tag. The Black Rose Dragon by Mega House. The Yu-Gi-Oh love we get through figures lately is pretty damn exciting, though truthfully I have no idea who this is, as this is kinda past my time. But Mega House and their artwork series when it comes to the monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh are just rad. They're always so dark and gritty and highly detailed, pushing away from like the simplistic drawings of the anime or the clean art found on the cards and going for something a bit more real. I don't even think these photos are capable of showing off how awesome this figure will look in person, assuming they nail it, but I fucking love the rich reds and the deep blacks being used to paint this guy. Each of his petals looks so worn down and even somewhat intimidating despite it being, flowers. That's pretty impressive. He does sort of have like a little baby head though, which is like kind of funny, kind of cute, like a little bit. I don't know, it makes me laugh when I look at this figure. But I do like the way the vines look, just like the structure of the base, like he's standing on these broken pillars or something, and then the vines are making up the design of everything around it. I can't imagine they're used for like stability, but then again, it's hard to say how heavy this guy is, but that sort of seems like a bad idea. Anyway, sick design, glad Mega House is still making these, and I hope we see more of them in the future. Okay, hold on. This is an Emilia from Furyu with a ton of plastic, and yet nowhere near as expensive as you would expect from them. Perhaps this was a mistake, or like an intern decided its price. I don't know, but anyhow, this is, what do I think about this one? I'm kind of conflicted on this one, but I really shouldn't be. Like, the Hanfu's design is very pretty. The billowing is excellent. All the gold trim throughout it is lovely. There's no cut corners or cheap vibes I'm really getting from her design, and like I said, it's a rather big sculpt. So I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even realize Puck was on this figure at first, and it looks pretty cute now that I'm realizing it. But is Puck supposed to be this small? Like, I know he is small, just looks a little bit tinier than I'm remembering. But I do like how he's hanging off of the umbrella tassels, and that's another thing. I think the umbrella design is great as well. I think it's just Emilia's face that's throwing me off. She looks slightly wrong, maybe even like a bit lifeless in these photos. Apparently though, you can get a bonus faceplate through the FNext store, which looks way more accurate to me. I'm just on the FNext store really quickly, and I found out that they had the 360 image on here, which I love it when stores let you do this, because you really get to take in this figure. Though first thing of note is that it seems like this figure is going to have an additional support rod, which, is understandable. This does look like a pretty heavy figure, but it might be distracting and maybe even ugly to some people, but I understand that they need to take some measures to make sure that this figure's just not going to topple over in the end. But yeah, just looking at her from all angles, literally, does help me appreciate the colors, the sculpt work, the shading underneath the dress, and on her hair. Alright, fine, this one's really nice overall, but I think she should have just came with both faces by default instead of making one exclusive. Apex is just delivering a beautiful Maid figure of Elysia, the Miss Pink version from Honkai Impact 3rd. I am really surprised at how much I like this one. And I think it starts at the base. A lot of Maid figures, I feel like, need a little bit of a setting to really sell the fact that they are in a maid cafe. And I just love how there's a cute little drawing of her on the chalkboard. Now, if you were to go into this cafe, this would not tell you anything about what's on the menu, but I guess you would know she's working there, and that's probably enough to get you into the store, right? I want to find an image of her hair from the back. I want to say the shading is pretty good. It's definitely a beautiful color. It seems like it's pretty light in the middle here and up top, but then it gets darker towards the bottom. So excellent stuff there. The design of the Maid outfit is pretty unique. I do love the way that it's broken up into segments. Of course, because it is a Maid costume, there's not a ton of colors on this figure, but the little gold bits and pieces here and there does add a lot to it. Plus you get this blue ribbon down here, and then like a bit of a darker shade of blue on the ribbon at her chest. Oh, I just noticed she's like daintily holding her dress up just a little bit. That is very cute. Her stockings also have a really cute like cream color to them, and the design up here with a little bit of her thighs peeking through. This is like masterclass. This is a really good Maid figure. Man, I wish I had some Maid figures because I would probably impulse buy this, but there really isn't a reason for me to start buying figures like this, but she is adorable, and Apex has done it again. How does this cost 23,000 yen? Something's not right here. This company has got to be like smuggling plastic. There is no way a figure that looks like this costs 23,000 yen in 2022. Absolutely crazy. You know what impresses me the most about this figure? The Phoenix. This thing is gorgeous. Let me find images of this Phoenix from the back because the sculpt is crazy. Look at these feathers that just go all the way to the bottom of the base. Do birds have tails? Would you call that a tail? I don't know. Either way, gorgeous. And honestly, the paintwork on this thing is awesome. But let me roll back a bit to talk about the girl. Her face, if I can find an image of it, I think I saw one here, is actually beautiful. I love these eyes and the expression is so elegant. Plus her eyelashes look gorgeous. She's got some really pretty hair ornaments on her head as well. Loving the sculpt of these flowers and the gold-like jewelry over here. Not to glare, but she's got some really nice looking legs too, which I guess is a benefit of the way the dress was sculpted, just kind of letting that peek through. Absolutely lovely. The way the cloth of her outfit is just like draping down onto the furniture, even on her legs, just like into the base itself, just looks really good. Like I said, this can't cost 23,000 yen. This looks way too good for that price. Also, I didn't even mention that there's this like giant acrylic piece, I guess showing the mountains in the back. I can't really tell exactly what that is. There's like a little bit of clouds, I think, as well, which looks fine. I think you totally don't need that to appreciate this figure, considering I didn't even notice that till now because I was looking at every other photo in the gallery. Wait, I just realized this comes out in January 2023. This figure has to be done. There's no way they can like get this out in time if this just went up for pre-order. I don't know. The situation around this figure is very weird, but if this comes out looking nearly as good as this prototype, I'm gonna be so impressed. Man, maybe that last company should have given Alphamax some of their plastic, cause yeesh, 36,000 yen for this Miku figure? That's a tough sell. I do like this one though. Her outfit kind of reminds me of like a futuristic jellyfish. Almost being entirely silver does contribute to those like far off days vibes, and the earth just making up the design of the outfit and the base is definitely neat. The best part of this figure for me is absolutely the hair sculpt. It doesn't go too nuts on the coloring, it just sticks to like the traditional light blue for Miku, but I just love the swirly sculpt of it. I sure hope the globe on the bottom is made of like titanium though, because she's already leaning back and the hair is gonna weigh her down a lot. So I'm kind of just scared for her stability down the line. Overall, it's a pleasant Miku figure to look at, but it just costs way too much money. Okay, bunny time. First up, I gotta point out that the X10 figure has been re-released, which if you ask me, the guy who doesn't collect bunny figures, this is one of the best bunnies of 2021, and kind of just like Freeing's catalog of figures in general. It's too unique and badass looking to ignore, so do yourself a favor and pick her up if you missed out. Next up is the Yuna Yunohana bare leg bunny version, and this one's really cute actually. Now, I don't know this character. I did see that she was very expensive with the fishnet version on the aftermarket, but if you ask me, I think this is a rare instance where the lack of fishnets kind of complements the rest of the figure. Now, I think that might just be the color palette speaking. As far as my personal tastes go, I feel like having the black fishnets against the really fair skin complexion, the white bunny suit, and the light pink hair, I don't know, I feel like maybe if it was white fishnets I would like it more, but I'm kind of digging the fact that she's just bare-legged here. Also, if I had to guess, I'm just going to assume that like the wardrobe malfunction is part of why this figure was very expensive on the aftermarket. It's kind of rare for a freeing sculpt. I don't really recall seeing that too often in the months I've been making these videos. A lot of ass shots in this gallery as well. So yeah, really cute one in my opinion. You know this character or you just want to add a cute bunny to your collection, you got another shot. Reika from Gantz also got a re-release, though this time it's a bare leg version. I'm definitely digging the old school vibes of this figure, mostly due to the art style, and the commitment to making the suit feel as if it's from the Gantz universe is definitely commendable. I mean, how many bunny figures actually come with a shotgun? Probably more than just this one. Maybe, again, I don't really collect these, so I don't actually know, but it's still very cool. As for the big new offerings from Freeing, we actually got 2 bunnies of Sophia F. Shirring, with a rather interesting gimmick, sorta, I don't know. But let's talk about the first one in front of us. This is the normal bunny version, sporting a very different looking suit compared to most sculpts from Freeing. They claim it's a somewhat mechanical bunny suit, and I mean, I sorta get that. There's bits of like mechanical detailing throughout it, and the gold suspenders or belts with like shiny finishes do strengthen that idea. They completely ditched the fishnets and went for like sleek black matte stockings instead. And there's also a small warning symbol pointed at her crotch too, just saying caution. And I mean, I guess they're not wrong, but it's just a little bit goofy. Anyway, love her pose, very cutesy, and her embarrassed expression is perfect. The big seafoam green bow tie on her back adds a nice refreshing splash of color to this figure along with the bunny ears. And of course, her boobs are pretty massive, but you probably already noticed that. The top looks like you could cast it off, but it doesn't mention that anywhere on the page, so it might be a forced cast off. Now this image right here, you might notice something's different. She's got a new head, and that's because you can actually swap the heads between the two figures, so let's finally talk about the reverse bunny suit version. I probably don't need to explain what a reverse bunny suit is, you can kind of tell what's going on here, right? But as a result, she's basically only wearing pasties, which are in fact cast-offable. Also, her butt is just completely out on this figure. Now, this suit doesn't really share anything in common with the other figure. In fact, it's a lot less interesting if you ask me. Kinda reminds me of a casino bunny slightly, but the only thing that really stands out for me are the latex tights. Thinking about it though, how is this bunny tail sticking onto her? It looks sorta soft too. I wonder if it's just like a piece you can attach yourself. Anyway, because the colors on these figures are different, I actually don't love the idea of swapping the heads around. It clearly looks like you combine two figures rather than having them like organically blend together. So, I don't know, I'd rather just leave them as is. But overall, I think these two figures are great. Mostly the first one, I think her design is super unique, but I can't say I've seen many reverse bunnies from Freeing either, so it's nice to see them kind of like branch out a little bit. So here we are at the Crunchyroll store, but why are we here? Well, it turns out that this Ilulu figure, the one with the teddy bears that are all staring at her in a not so subtle way, ended up being an exclusive to the store. Which sucks, because this company cannot package a box to save their fucking life. I just do not like this practice. I mean, exclusives are already annoying enough, but I can understand it coming from the manufacturer. This is Crunchyroll, a company that's notorious and has become a bit of a meme for how bad they are at actually making your figure arrive in good condition. You can go on like Reddit right now and just find images of someone getting a package from Crunchyroll and it looks like an elephant stepped on it. So, I don't know, like this is a very cute figure, probably the best looking Dragon Maid figure so far. Even if you're not into Ilulu, they definitely nailed the art style of Dragon Maid. And I mean, this is just the character's design. You gotta live with it if you like this character, or if you don't like it, then whatever, just don't buy it. But no figure should end up on the Crunchyroll store and be doomed to fail. But at least you'll get her cheap. There's often a coupon code you could use for like 15% off or something. I think you can get her for $120 with free shipping. It's real enticing. But if you care about the condition of your boxes or potentially your figures getting damaged, then it became a whole lot harder to want this figure. Another exclusive, this time on the Aniplex store, was the Abigail Williams swimsuit version. And it's pretty dang interesting looking. She is coming super prepared to the beach with 3 inflatable rings. 2 kitties, one on her shoulder, one on the sand, a watermelon in like a sack, her coat, a beach ball. There's a lot going on in this figure, so the price is somewhat justified. I guess it's still a lot of money for a swimsuit figure, but at the very least, it is extravagant enough. Out of all the Abigail figures I've seen, this one probably has my least favorite face. I'm not loving the expression on her face. It's a little weird to me, the way she's kind of tilting her head and staring so like directly into my soul. But the outfit's cute, like the swimsuit itself. Got these really cute ribbons on it. So many ribbons in her hair. The like baby bonnet hat that she has on is adorable as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this one. I'm trying to see if they sculpted in her ribs. It's a little hard to see in this photo. But, I mean, clearly her body is very defined, so I think that is there. And that is extra points towards the figure. As far as, like, the whole composition of this piece, I think they did a pretty good job here. Ooh, I was waiting to talk about this one. This is the smug Ryza. The defining feature of this figure really is just her expression. Not to knock anything else about this figure, that alter quality really does guarantee that you're going to get a beautiful sculpt. I love the way they, did all the clothing on her, very realistic, love all the creases throughout it. The accessories on her outfit look fantastic, and of course, because it's Ryza, she's got them thighs, and they look great as well. But there's a bit of divide on this one, whether or not this looks good or not. And of course, I fall into the camp of I like this. I think this is a great expression for Ryza. It looks adorable, and it's distinctly different from almost every other Ryza on the market. But there are some people out there, and you know, if you don't like this figure, that's totally fine. There isn't a figure out there that everybody universally loves, right? But there are people that just don't like this face. And if you just don't like smug faces like this, then that's okay. But my problem is that while people are allowed to not like this just because they don't like the expression, there are people saying that this is not what Ryza should look like. And I feel like that is a really, for a lack of better words, dumb statement, because where do you think this came from? This is based off of official art. When she was first shown off, they showed a drawing in this exact pose. In fact, I have that announcement right here. It's the exact pose of Ryza doing this smug face. So I don't know what you expected with this one. And for anyone saying, oh, they just made this for the figure, I would argue against that because I got this right here, a tapestry of this exact art piece. Why would they make that if they were only making it for the figure? This is official art. Whether or not you think Ryza should be making this face, I guess, you know, you can believe whatever you want, but there isn't any reason to believe that Ryza would never make this expression. I think that's an odd thing to say. So while you don't have to like this figure, it totally is justified in existing. A lot of people like it. I personally think it looks fantastic. And if I get it, then it's just going to be another great Ryza in my collection. But there's so many freaking Ryzas on the market that it's getting real hard to decide which ones to buy and which ones not to. Here we have Prisma Wings Mukuro Hoshimiya from Data Live, and this is a figure that I didn't really look over when it was originally, I guess, put up for order because I saw this price tag and I stayed the hell away. So I really should look this one over, but the Ami photos are really not that great, so I went out of my way to find some higher quality ones, and I think this does leave a good impression. Like most Prisma Wing figures, the highlight really is the base. This galaxy swooping crescent made up of about 5 or so stars with these like glittery star-like patterns in the stars just looks really good. I love the coloring of this piece of the base. Even just like the bottom of it, the gold with like the symbol on it, the crest or whatever you want to call it, looks good too. Resting right under there, good color, fits well with the rest of the palette. You could also see the stars and the constellations underneath her dress, which is a really cool touch. And the hair sculpt is going all over the place. This is a crazy hair sculpt. I'm a big fan of different finishes on figures, like when they mix a bunch of them together. Like her heels are very glossy, and then the armor is very shiny. And of course, you're going to have this different look completely with the plastic used for the star base. There's just a lot of stuff like that going on in this figure, and I think it looks pretty damn good. I think the only thing I'm not the biggest fan of on this figure is her face. Maybe this is just how the character always looks, but kind of falls a little flat, which is unfortunate considering the face is really important on these figures. For around 50,000 yen, it's a bit hard to say if this is worth it or not. I think that's a lot of freaking money, but I'm not sure if this character gets figures. I really can't recall ever seeing a Mukuro figure, at least of this caliber, so it might be one of those situations where if you're a fan, you're feeling kind of desperate, you know what I'm saying? Definitely not bad though. I do think this one has a lot going for it compared to some other Prisma Wing figures, so I guess I'll give them a thumbs up. Pretty good. This is the cutest figure of the month. I don't even know this character, but Arona from Blue Archive is kind of stealing my heart. Now this is the limited edition, which I think only means that you're getting a second faceplate, the one we're looking at right now. Otherwise, you would have a faceplate with her eyes open. And they're really cute eyes. I like the decals that they chose here. The art is really reminiscent of something. I can't recall what it is. But either way, she is adorable. And I love this soft pastel-y color palette that is going on with this character design. It's mostly blue and white. There is a little bit of pink in the back of her hair. You can kind of see it in this image. There's also some pink underneath the dress, which is a nice splash of color down there. Even like the way she's holding her gun, oh my god, look at the freaking whale base. That is so cute, and there's like a whale charm on her gun. But I was talking about the way she's holding her gun. It's just cute. Like, I think this figure has such a cute pose, a cute face, a cute color palette. I kind of want it. I don't know who this is though. I don't like making impulse purchases like that. And yeah, I like this one quite a bit. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll impulse buy it, but if I was ranking these today, this would be the top of the list, absolutely. I like it that much. So the rascals over at QSQ are once again making a changing clothes mode figure for Mushoku Tensei. Last time they did Eris, now they're doing Roxy. And I'm still not the biggest fan of these, but it's a bit of an awkward situation because if you've seen this show, then this is probably what you should expect as far as figures go. Like, that is not a Mata show at all. Like, they really do crank up the fan service and go places that you wouldn't expect them to go. So, it is what it is, right? I like QSQ a lot, and I think this figure, as far as like, the detailing, the expression on her face is adorable, the colors are on point, her outfit looks exactly like I would imagine it, color-wise, detail-wise, all that's really there. So, objectively, very good figure. Personally, don't really want to pick this up, but anything QSQ makes I usually back up, so if you're interested in this one, you're gonna get a good-ass figure, but it's just not for me. This Ai Enma figure always looked pretty cool during its production phase, the one where she's just sitting down on a table / bench or something, and there's just like a lot of fabric all around her. The sashes are curving in towards her. I've never seen this series. I imagine something either magical or demonic is going on here, but it does make for a really cool shot. I think as far as like a display piece goes, this would look awesome. I'm guessing the character is supposed to look a little bit lifeless, a little bit creepy, so that's perfectly fine. That feels in line with what I'm imagining this character would act like, so this one's really neat. There's just so many different patterns on the fabric, which I'm assuming are kimonos because the sashes would probably match up with that. And there's a lot of colors on this one too. But it doesn't look like a mess, or if it does, it's a controlled mess, in a sense. Yeah, this one's really cool. Definitely one of the more unique ones we've seen this month. Subaru from Hololive got her figure from Kotobukiya, and it's really lively. Originally, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. I kind of felt like it was a little underwhelming compared to some of the other Hololive girls that Kotobukiya has put out. But the more I looked at this one, the more I felt like this is really in character. And her expression and the hat flying off of her head, the stopwatch and the whistle kind of just like flowing off to the side because she's just moving her body that way. And the, peace sign, of course. There's a lot of just like cute energy on this figure that really is infectious, and it's super bright. These colors are just like nothing but primaries, and I do like that quite a bit. I really do like the way that the hat is just kind of floating above her, and none of the images show how that's happening, so probably just like plugs into the back of her head. I do wish the duck was here. That would have been cute. I guess it's not that hard to just find a duck that kind of looks like that and plop her in, but you can't get the duck with the hat now. Whatever. You can get a bonus faceplate if you buy this through the Kotobukiya store. Equally as cute. Just kind of depends on if you like the winking face or not. I know some people feel a little weird about winking faces on 3D figures, which I totally understand. But there's going to be a big price difference on this, so, take that into account when you eventually decide which one you want. Yeah, pretty dang cute figure. Glad they're making more of these. Hope to see more in the future. Another figure from Kotobukiya was the Megami Device Asura Archer. This is a big mechanical girl. These are normally model kits, I'm pretty sure, but they decided to turn them into PVC figures. They did this once before. It was a while ago though, so I don't recall what her name was. And as you can see, pretty pricey for a Kotobukiya figure. But I think it's totally justified when you consider what you're getting. The mechanical limbs, like all the armor pieces, the weapons, all of those look really well done. It's a bit harder to appreciate that kind of stuff if you never built Gunpla, in my opinion, because you could like feel the cheap plastic that they give you that you have to kind of, craft yourself by, painting it, giving it a top coat. They're doing all that work for you, and it's gonna just shine in person. I know these pieces of the armor are gonna look super sick, but there's also some optional parts if I can find it. I think I gotta scroll all the way down actually, because this is also a lewd figure of sorts, so you get a whole different leg where she's wearing like a big ass sock, a different, I guess, hand expression. She's giving you the shocker or whatever. Yeah, I guess you could take away the weapon if you want to as well. And I guess put her on the ground if you want to. I don't know how you're going to display her like that. I don't really dig that part of this figure, but whatever. I think a lot of this does look good. She's very chesty. Big bust. Armpit as well. Kind of fan surfacey figure, as you could tell. She's got a really cute face too. The blush and I guess like the paint on her face. I don't really know what you would call that. The decals or whatever, because she is a mechanical girl after all. And the purple eyes with the red armor and the white just really looks good to me. This one I feel like will be a harder sell because of how expensive it is, but I am more impressed with this than I kind of assumed I would be. Just looks like a really good showing from Kotobukiya. So here's a twist for you. Union Creative is making a figure I actually like. This is the Japanese Sailor-chan. Not a name that I think is very great, but I love this artist. Whoever drew this, I like the way you draw anime girls. It's really the eyes and the hair. The eyelashes are so thick. The bottom row seems to be red, the top seems to be black, and then she's got these really vibrant orange irises. Not to mention the hair color is beautiful. I need more figures with this color of hair in my collection. I think I have a total of 0. Maybe that's wrong, I don't actually know. But I really, really like this color. Like the way they shaded this is pretty impressive. I doubt this will look as good as it, does in these images. I'm liking this fox mask too, with the bells and the tassels kind of flowing down towards her legs. It's nothing too extravagant, but again, it's the artist carrying the sculpt. And I would hope this artist gets more opportunities to get figures out on the market. Maybe they already have some, and I'm just not in the know, so if you know, let me know, because I like this. This does not look like Makima. It doesn't look like her in the anime, it definitely doesn't look like her in the manga, and I only assume this is being made to cash in on the hype and get some people who are like really desperate to get a Makima figure as soon as possible. But if you ask me, you gotta wait. Wait for any other company to make a scale figure of her, because not only does this not look like the character, but it's also 30,000 yen, and the rest of the sculpt is not very impressive either. It really does feel like highway robbery. Like, this base is average. It's a blood splatter. I don't want to talk about the significance of it, but it's certainly not that impressive looking as far as blood splatters go. Compare this to Eastream's Denji, that crazy looking figure with so much going on because it's just based off of that badass piece of art on volume 1. That is like in a whole nother universe compared to this figure. As a Chainsaw Man fan, like many of you are, we do deserve a little bit better. A good figure of Makima will absolutely happen, just give it some time, alright? Alright. Azur Lane's Unicorn Light Equipment version from Wanderer. I do applaud the company for only charging 16,000 yen for this. Very reasonable price. She is a 1/7 scale, even though she is very tiny and sitting down, so don't expect a very big figure when you buy this. I do think she is very cute. The pose is adorable as she's hugging onto her unicorn plushie. The colors on this one are pretty good. I do like the way the hair was shaded, but there's something about the dress that looks a little bit goopy. Like, if I were to touch this figure, my finger would sink into it or something. I don't really like the execution of her dress on this figure. I think that's the only thing I'm not really liking about this one. I do like the individual butterflies that are just making up the pattern on the dress. I wouldn't even call it a pattern though, because they are actually molded on top of it. So that's pretty interesting. There's also a lot of bow ties on this figure as well, which are pretty cute. I don't know, I do like it. It looks very innocent and adorable, but there's just something about that dress that is bothering me a little bit on this figure that I just can't get my mind off of, but I really don't think it's bad. It's fine. But what do you think? Am I wrong on this assumption? Let me know. Well, it seems like we're getting another set of the quintuplets. This is the Fallen Angel versions of Ichika and Nino, likely with the other girls to come pretty soon, because these companies typically roll out every girl instead of just picking 1 or 2 favorites. Very rarely does that happen, and I think that's why it's starting to feel a little oversaturated for me and why I'm not immediately excited about this one. Not to mention, these are 30,000 yen, which is very expensive considering that we're getting the date style figures for 18K, which look way better in my opinion and fit the girls' styles a little bit more. But this is a bit more fantastical, a bit gothy. I do like the spiderweb leggings that Ichika has, and her face is really cute. I like the mischievous kind of expression she's got on, but I really don't like the colors on this one. I think it looks okay up top, like the yellow and the black of the dress, but on the base itself, the gold and the blue against the black rose, I just feel like that's a really ugly color combination. Personal preference, of course. But I don't think this is bad. I do wish the wings maybe had like a bigger wingspan or something. I'm not immediately impressed at their sculpting or coloring, but it's not a bad figure by any means. Nino, on the other hand, I feel like is a little worse. I do like her color combination better, and the rose base definitely works way more with a purple ribbon along with like the typical green leaves, right? But her face looks off to me. And maybe, again, it's because I'm used to the date style figures, but there's something about this expression, there's something about her eyes, they seem a little bit smaller, that I'm just not really immediately thinking about Nino with this one. If it wasn't for like the style of her hair and the ribbon, maybe I would think it's a different character. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little too hard on this one, but that's just kind of the way I feel right now. We don't get the spiderweb leggings, but we do get these nice looking boots, so I could take that as a trade-off. But, you know, the rest of it, it's a little bit different, but it still kind of evokes the same emotions and vibes to me, so I don't really have that much more to say about these. They're fine, but I think Proof kind of has to prove themselves before, you know, asking this much money for figures that look decent. Not bad by any means, but just nothing that really screams 30,000 yen to me. Okay, here we have Guitar Mei, Flower, and Mirror. Now, I'm not here to knock on the artist. It's a lovely piece, right? But when you look at it in figure form and there's just a mirror in the back just kind of exposing her butt, it just makes this figure feel so degrading when it really has this like wholesome aura from the front. Like, she looks really cute, very grounded, but then there's just a mirror to expose her weird back zipper pants, just exposing her butt because I guess she's not done changing or something. And it seems like you don't have to keep the mirror around. You're certainly paying for it. But this is a really cheap figure. It's only 16,800 yen. But yeah, I don't really know how to feel about this one. I love her face. I love the natural hair that she's got. The guitar looks sick. And I think it's kind of rare to get like anime figures with jeans, even if they are weird back zipper jeans. I can't think of many figures off the top of my head where they're just wearing jeans, and I like that look, so I do like a lot of things about this one, but it just rubs me the wrong way, but not like in a this is bad kind of thing, just like it's a little goofy, I guess. I don't know. It's whatever. It looks good, and it's very affordable, so nothing really wrong with it or anything. Like, I'm all for fan service, and I even like the way they did her shirt, the way it's kind of like transparent by the chest and the stomach, and you can see the bra through it. I think that was executed really well, but I can't get over how stupid this figure looks from the back, which thankfully you don't really have to look at if you don't care about it, but I don't really have a point to make here. I'm not trying to like take the high ground. I'm not better than this figure or anything. I just personally feel like this one is a bit strange, but whatever. Asuna Ichinose from Max Factory. Now, this one's gorgeous. As they put it, an eye-popping, sexy style, and they are certainly right about that. The body on this one is pretty dynamite, but there's a bit of a problem with this one that I can overlook, but it is a bit of a bummer, because I like almost everything about her. She's beautiful. Her chest is outrageous. I like the mole. I like the black tights that she's wearing. The blue suit with all the wrinkles look really well done. Phenomenal hair sculpt too, as it's like flowing down her back, draping off the stool, kind of curling off on the floor because it's so long. But, you know, this figure's got a really big base and I don't like the design of it. Now, the fluffy material is actually a smart idea because there's so much hair on the floor, you don't want to scratch it. But the marble rim or whatever is not really appealing to look at, in my opinion. I don't think it really fits the rest of the color palette, the rest of the vibe of this figure either. And it's especially annoying when they show off this really nice checkerboard floor in like the Photoshop images here, with the gold coins everywhere, the two-tone blue. That looks excellent. It fits her style so perfectly. It's also a huge base, so like fitting this in your collection is not gonna be the easiest thing to do. So on top of being a little bit of an eyesore, it's also gonna be a shelf hog, but it doesn't really take away from like her wonderful sculpt, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a deal breaker. As I go through these photos, she still looks very attractive. Again, I love this hair sculpt. The way it's taking a 90-degree angle turn, just like coming off of the stool. Just a really interesting sculpt they got here. Man, that side boob is crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this one. I just wish they took any other angle with this base because I don't like the way it looks right now. But things could be worse, I guess. Hey, we finally got Yotsuba. It only took about 4 extra months for some reason, but here she is. Personally, I do find Yotsuba's outfit to be the most basic of the 5 girls, though it does fit her really well. I love these big-ass boots that she's wearing, and the coat seems to have maybe like a very subtle hint of green coloring throughout it, which just feels really appropriate for her. The hair is super vibrant, her face is adorable, and I love the ribbons like on the coat and on her hair. These very bright splashes of color do add a lot to this sculpt. These all feel like must-haves if you're into this series, and even if you're not, you could still really find yourself appreciating their designs because at the end of the day, they're just really cute anime girls in really trendy outfits, and everybody loves that. You can't go wrong, right? You know, when I first saw the Ryza and Claudia negligee figures, I kind of wanted to say that I liked Claudia a little bit more, but that was until I saw this image. What an excessive amount of detail on her back, her shoulder blades, the soles of her feet, the butt peeking out of the negligee, you could see the panties through it. Like, you don't get that kind of detail to the same degree with Claudia because her hair is covering her back, which is fine, and you do get to see her underwear through the negligee as well, but it's hard to be as impressed with the smaller details on this one. Definitely feels like they cared more about Ryza on this figure, which does make sense. She's probably going to sell way more, even though, you know, we don't get that many Claudia figures, so it is nice to get this at all. And she does still look very attractive, just like Ryza. Both of them get their own set of pillows, and with Ryza, you do get her hat that you get to just place, I guess, wherever you want to. And you also get this, like, little cloth kind of pillowy base as well, if I could find the image of it. Nothing too spectacular about the base, but it does really feel like a bed sheet with, like, a bunch of pillows on top of it. So I think the execution is really good on this one. Both figures cost about 23,000 yen each, which does seem reasonable. Nothing about these figures feels lazy to me. Like, they don't have to do the super intricate outfits that they typically wear because they're just wearing negligee. But you know, the sculpting of the negligee looks very high quality. The colors on these figures are surprisingly vibrant. I love the shading that's going on in their hair, and they both have really cute expressions. So yeah, if you're in the market for some sexy negligee, Ryza and Claudia, then I don't think you could go wrong with these. Okay, here we have another figure from Mythos that I feel underqualified to talk about. This is the Time Compass, the British Museum's equinoctial dial. And really, that says it all. This looks like a figure that you would find in a museum. If this was like 20 times as big, you could definitely see it being placed in like a big park or in front of a museum. It just looks like proper art from hundreds of years ago. That's really the biggest compliment I could give this figure. And it's only gonna cost you 24,000 yen, which is an insane value. Apparently you can also move this figure around like on the movable ring. I don't exactly know how that works, but I guess you can spin her around if you want to. There's clearly a ton of details on this figure, like stars and feathers and smoke clouds everywhere, but it's really the middle part. These rings that are just making up the sphere that I think are being surrounded by feathers or leaves. I can't exactly tell, but like everything from the gold that they used to the delicate craftsmanship that they had to clearly painstakingly make here is just kind of breathtaking. And I've really only been focusing on the base so far, but I gotta say her, like, I don't know, overwhelming curiosity of the stars is really charming. Like, it just seems like she's so infatuated with what is above her. Her eyes are stars as she's staring at a star in her hand. It's really cute. And just like the color palette, from her hair to her dress to, I guess, her skin complexion, all looks really soft, which I guess works very well against, I guess, the more, I don't know, bright colors of the gold used throughout most of this figure. Yeah, I don't know, I could just be like pointing out all the little details on this one for about an hour if I really wanted to, but maybe one of the best figures of the month. I mean, it's gotta be. This one's just absolutely stunning. Kurisu fans have it so good. They never need another figure of this character again, because they just got their magnum opus. They just got the crowning figure in their collection. This is, without a doubt, the best Kurisu figure that's ever been made. And I would be very surprised if they ever one-up this one. Maybe one day they will, but for now, this one is just phenomenal. And it's crazy, right? Because there's so much going on in the base. There's so much commitment to all these like IBM computers, cell phones, wires, monitors, all that stuff that's just going on all around the base, even on the back where you're never gonna look at it. There's just a ton of details on this one, very realistic looking too. And yet, I would also say that this is my favorite rendition of Kurisu as well. I just think she looks lovely, from the color palette to the expression on her face, the way her hand is running through her hair as she's leaning against it. I just don't see why you would need anything else. It's just perfect. This is the perfect Kurisu. And it costs a reasonable amount of money, in my opinion. It is 35,000 yen, but with discounts, with the yen weak at the moment, I feel like it's a really good deal. I feel like you have to get this one if you like Kurisu. This is my favorite figure of the month, bar none. No matter what else is shown in this video, I gotta say I am super impressed at what Good Smile Company managed to do here. Azur Lane's Aegir Light Equipment version. This is the figure that had the like grandiose collector's edition. Cost like $1,000, had these like really cool magma dragons and whatnot. But unfortunately, that ship seemed to have sailed. Very limited quantities, and they really didn't make it very easy for anyone to order in the first place. But hey, the light equipment version still looks like a great deal at the price that they're asking for. I mean, even without all that extra stuff, this figure is still going to demand a ton of shelf space due to how like voluminous her hair sculpt is. It's all over the base and it looks fantastic, and actually, I think the way she's kind of like playing with it with her hand here looks even better. Honestly, each part of this figure is worth highlighting. Her spear's got a really sick design and the flag sculpted to be blowing in the breeze. Her cape's got excellent clothing detail and the bright red contrasts beautifully with the dark shadows being cast from the creases. The dragon-like rock formation she's sitting on frankly just has a cool design to it, and it puts us more in the world of Azur Lane. And her armor design goes kinda hard on top of Aegir being a pretty curvy character. My only complaint, and this is coming from someone who's not very familiar with this character, so maybe this is wrong, but I feel like her face looks kind of strange, like there's something about like the eye placement, or maybe like the, shape of the head itself, that just looks a little bit off. But again, since I'm not very familiar with her or the series really, I don't know if this is a valid complaint. Overall, an excellent piece from AC Toys. The light equipment version still delivers. Here we have the Azur Lane's U110, a cute Sharky Reverie, and this is definitely a cute, no doubt about that. The animals all came to the party dressed up. They got little ribbons and ties, like, how could you not like this figure? Though I don't really understand the sign, like I get it's a shark dream party thing, but the chick's here, and the sign says no chicks. So someone's gotta explain the lore to me. Either way, I do like the street setting that they placed this figure on, but I don't really have that much else to say. It's just a cute figure with some pleasant vibes and a nice art style. Here's another beautiful Apex figure, this time the Chen Ageless Afterglow version. Most notable for the sick-looking serpent dragon just chilling in the back. Chen's got a really sporty look to her Chinese dress, which I'm loving. And the simple but effective uses of red and blue is really strong since both Chen and the dragon share the same color schemes, and they both pop against this piece of furniture they're placed in front of that almost looks desaturated in a way. I feel like there's a nice level of restraint in this design, like they never overdo it anywhere, and they make smart uses of like different finishes and textures. Like Chen's got a tail, so you gotta make sure it's scaly to a degree without being too overly detailed and gritty, and her Chinese dress is fairly simple, but the flower pattern on her back adds just the right amount of flavor to the design. Also, really quickly, I love her bun hair and her baked on hair shine. At only 20,000 yen, this one's got the value that you can't beat, so I expect her to sell really well. Shiromi Iori's swimsuit version, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Swimsuit figures with more than just sand making up the base. I mean, yeah, that's here too, but you also get the lounge chair with like a red towel running down it. I think this towel is fabric, probably to prevent paint transfers, but also gives it a more real look. Loving the body sculpt on her though, very natural, attractive proportions and curves, smallish bikini without going like overboard, sunglasses, always fun. Oh, and she's got a tail, so I'm in. You sold me. I feel like there was a lot of really long hair sculpts in this episode, and Diori is definitely adding to that. Also, she has her gun, which I kind of forgot about, but it's sort of just like there as dressing for the base, so whatever. It's all good. Looks nice. Oh yeah, I forgot that Yusuke from Persona 5 was getting a Mega House figure. I think this is still his only scale figure though, so it's nice that Mega House didn't mess it up from what I can tell. Now, I've seen some complaints about the size of him, but two things. One, Mega House usually has slightly different scaling sizes for whatever reason, but it's still going to be in line with the other Persona figures that they've made. And two, he's leaning forward and in an action pose, so I wouldn't really expect him to be tall in that regard either. This is one of those figures where the excitement is more about it existing rather than like the artistic feats, right? Like, I think he looks solid and in line with Persona's art style, but I truthfully just don't have that much to add here, but I also didn't want to skip it in case you guys didn't know about this release or just missed it. Alright, let's wrap this video up with a quick rundown of all the Nendoroids I want to highlight. Now, truthfully, I didn't see many that I would consider pre-ordering, though that doesn't really matter because we did have some great options available for you guys. Like, consider Shaltir. I'm probably not gonna pre-order this one, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's adorable as hell, because it really is. I think she's got some fantastic faceplates. She doesn't come with that much in terms of accessories, just an umbrella and an encyclopedia, which both look good, but it really is the faceplates that win me over. Like this one where she's glaring at you, a little annoyed, maybe disgusted, really spot on, love it. But then there's also this one right here, which is so damn cute. I really like this faceplate. It's kind of making me want to buy this, even though I said I wasn't going to. But, you know, the 8,100 yen price tag is probably going to keep me away from this. You know, a lot of the money is going into the dress itself and the hat, the kind of like baby bonnet thing that's going on up there. Very cute Nendoroid overall. Love it. Not probably going to buy it, but, you know, I'm glad that they made her into a Nendoroid because she's pretty darn cute. Orange Rouge is making Assassination Classroom Nendoroids of Karma and Nagisa. I don't remember if these were teased before, and it's been a very long time since I watched this anime, but I'm liking these pulls from series that are clearly very popular, but I can't recall ever getting a lot of figurines. Like, I don't think they ever did. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But they both look good. They both have, you know, standard accessories and faceplates. I don't think, you know, from an outsider's perspective, this would be super impressive or anything. Though that Koro-sensei plushie is pretty damn cute as an accessory. But my point still stands. Like, these are very good for people who like Assassination Classroom, in my opinion. Just nothing like, whoa, this is the best Nendoroid ever kind of thing. But that's not what Nendoroids are about. They're about making the fans happy, and I think these two just existing is very cool. Keisuke Baji is also getting a Nendoroid from Tokyo Revengers, making that like the 4th or 5th Nendoroid in the series. And I think he looks pretty good. There's nothing like outstanding as far as accessories goes, but he does come with an alternative hairstyle, which is always cool to see on Nendoroids. They have to dedicate a lot of plastic to that, so normally that does raise the price up a lot, but he actually is very reasonably priced at 5,800 yen. But besides that, his faceplates are all good. I think this is a solid one overall, but I am a little, you know, weary and a little worried about these Tokyo Revengers Nendoroids after Mikey, so I'm just not sure how this is going to turn out yet, but he does look good from what we're seeing, you know, right now. This one came out of nowhere. Ai Mizuno from Zombieland Saga, which is cool. It means they did not forget this series existed. I'm not exactly sure how many Nendoroids in this line exist, but just like the ones I have seen, you get the human form and the zombie form. You get to have a bit more fun with the zombie form, but it is cool. I like that about this series of figures where you get to have both looks of the character, and it just seems like a lot of fun to mess around with this one. Not much more else to say about it, just a good Nendoroid overall. Maid and Abyss characters fit the Nendoroid line perfectly, and I think that extends to Faputa. Clearly, this is a great looking version of her. Might as well be her best figure. The only downside of this one is that the only real accessory is this doll, unless you pre-order her through the Good Smile store, and then you'll get the reg doll carefully made by Faputa. But outside of that, you get some drooping ears as well, some cute looking faceplates, and if you have other characters in this series, then they're going to line up perfectly. Oh my god, her boobs are so big. Okay, so this is Aruru's Nendoroid, coming right off of the other Nendoroids from the series. And it looks pretty good, though I think this might be the biggest chest on a Nendoroid. Definitely looks bigger than Passion Lip, who I would assume should be bigger, but whatever. This is now the queen of Big Booba Nendoroid. I love that they gave her those stupid hands she tried to make in episode 1 or 2. It's a pretty smart accessory as well, because you know it doesn't cost them a lot of money to make that, but it's still a good reference. Hand parts emphasizing the chest. I mean, it is Dragon Maid. Of course, she's got to have something like that. The doll looks really cute. Love that accessory. And then you also get her dragon hands, which look really good. I would probably display her with them. I don't know. There's a lot of fun to be had here, even though the accessories are kind of light. Technically, like, you really only get the doll to put in her hands, but that's not bad. Kind of weird that you can't hold the doll with normal hands as well, but whatever. I think her face maybe looks better than the other two as well, but I could just be biased? I don't know. Either way, I think this is another good one for the Dragon Maid series, and I hope we get more in the future. Nendoroid Unicorn DX. There is a normal version of this if you want it. Now, I'm someone who's not really impressed with the Azur Lane Nendoroids. Like, they're fine, but I feel like for 10,000 yen, this should be coming with way more, or the sculpt and the paint should be more impressive. Neither are really meeting my expectations. I don't think this is bad. I think some of the faceplates you get with this one are pretty cute. Like, this one is a fun faceplate to mess around with. I think the unicorn plushie is very cute. And the backpack and the airplanes are fine, but I just don't really feel like I'm looking at quality when I look at this Nendoroid. And that's like a debate overall for Nendoroids these days, but I don't know. There's just something about this that looks a little bit cheap to me. And I think that goes doubly so for our next Nendoroid, Ayanami. You know what it is? I think it's the lack of shading on this one specifically on her hair. It's just one color. They didn't even try to do some shading on this one. Like, the rest of the outfit too has no shading, but that's a bit more expected. But normally they do try with the hair. This one doesn't try with the hair at all. The accessories look okay. The faceplates aren't as good this time around compared to Unicorn. I don't know, like, I don't want to be a hater for Azur Lane, because Azur Lane gets so many good figures. I really don't dislike the series at all. In fact, I plan to buy a couple of them, but as far as the Nendoroids go, I feel like they could be trying harder. These are made by Good Smile Arts Shanghai, and while some of their scale figures are really good, I'm just not impressed so far with their Nendoroids, especially that Vivi from a couple months back. That was pretty offensive. This one's like, whatever, doesn't make me mad looking at her or anything, but I think they deserve a little bit better considering how popular this series is. I don't know. So I don't normally talk about the Disney Nendoroids of the month because there's just way too many things that come out every time and I gotta cut some stuff out, but I wanted to make an exception for the next two here because I thought they were pretty interesting, or at least I like them. First up is Max Goof. A goofy movie, a bit nostalgic. I'll watch that any day of the week, even an extremely goofy movie. I like that one as well. I think they did a good job here. If you pair him up with Goofy, it's gonna be pretty dang cute. He looks so angry at his dad. Ooh, his dad's embarrassing him so bad. And this one reminds me of Powerline, so I like that too. Just a good one overall. I just wish these were cheaper. 8,800 yen, I feel like maybe if you're like really into Disney, that would be a fair price, but compared to everything else we get, I don't feel like this price is that great. But the other Nendoroid we got, which was way more interesting and kind of surprising, was Jose Carioca. If I said that right. Sorry if I didn't. Some Brazilian representation. Now, as a stupid American, I don't really know this character very well, but I do know he's from a series that is kind of lost to me, and I would love to check it out at some point. I think it's on Disney Plus, so maybe one day I will do that, but I don't have Disney Plus. I have to go out of my way to watch it. This is just a fun little toy. I love that they made this. Get the little maracas, and his hat can be like displayed where it's coming off of his head just through like some movie magic, where I'm guessing like a little acrylic piece is keeping it in place. But yeah, it could be on his head as well. Gets the umbrella. Just good looking overall. It's the same price as Max Goof, so again, a little expensive. So I'm not really trying to sell you on it. These are very expensive, and I doubt a lot of people even know who this is, but I like the weird stuff. And this is just not what I expect from Good Smile Company, so gets the thumbs up. I like it. Here we have Daiwa Scarlet, my favorite horse girl, and she looks adorable. Everything about this sculpt looks amazing. You compare these to the Azur Lane figures, It's like night and day. They actually cared about how they painted and sculpted this one. But just like the others in this series, all she comes with is a racetrack fence. Now, I don't really expect them to come with that much, though like I said last time, a little running effect would go a long way, in my opinion. But it does look cute, and you're really just paying for the sculpt. It is a nice looking sculpt. I think this looks really, really good. But I got my biases, so don't listen to me. I'm stupid. Whatever, moving on. Nendoroid Shuna is looking adorable as well. I'm loving the pink hair against the red Shrine Maiden costume. You actually get two Rimarus, the one with the hand up and the one where they're bowing. Very cute. I like the expression on this one a lot. Yeah, simple Nendoroid. Don't really get too much with her, but what you do get is very cute, so no complaints from me. Oh, I forgot about this one. I don't know who this girl is, Persicaria, but I love her design, and I think she's a pretty interesting looking Nendoroid. Her main selling point is very clearly on display here. You get this gigantic medical ring that just kind of sits around her, which is very cool looking. I love the way this one looks. And a cup of joe, and I think like a piece of paper or something, or a clipboard. Can't really tell from this image. She's also got some really cute faceplates. I love starry-eye faces. This is probably my favorite kind of faceplate. This or like giant hearts or something. I just like when they get a little bit zany with it. And then there's also a really cute one where she's blushing and her ears are drooping down. Honestly, the lab coat and the sweater and the skirt and like the stockings, that all looks really good. Like they sculpted and painted this one pretty dang nicely just for a Nendoroid, you know what I mean? Hard to not like this one. Even though I don't know who this character is, I've never played Neural Cloud, so I'm not going to be picking this up, but, you know, for the Nendoroid fan out there, the enthusiast, I think this one's one of the best of the month. And to wrap it up, we are getting Sadako from The Ring. Yes, they're making Sadako into a little toy. That is very funny. Good Small Art Shanghai. I might have kind of crapped on you this video, but I'm liking this concept, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. Now, she doesn't come with that much. She doesn't really look super impressive either, but you do get what you should, right? Like, what you would expect you would get with this character, you do. The faceplate looks nice. You're not really going to get to see a lot of it with the hair displayed like this. I think she gets like 3 different bits of hair, which we'll see in a second. The well looks great. Glad she comes with the well. A TV cutout, and you can see that the hair is changed so that it's kind of, you know, flowing out onto the floor. So that looks good. Obviously just an acrylic piece, so you're not getting a giant plastic TV, of course. Can't expect that. And then a videotape with this funny looking face. It's not, you know, super impressive anything, but it is very funny. And I like this idea. I'm glad that they're doing it. More horror-themed Nendoroids are always fun as well, so I hope they make more stuff like this in the future. And I hope this does good enough, assuming that it does, you know, turn out well. But, yeah, I guess that's going to do it for this video. So, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to be picking up any of this stuff. And if you want to support the channel, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I guess that's it. So, until next time, I guess I'll just see you later. Bye.